Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we are getting a facelift, I guess. We're going to do a little bit of work, a little nipping and tucking of the show today. And here to show me all of the places where I am wrong or have flaws, your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I'm feeling very ugly today, Miles, but not for me personally, just the ugliness I'm going to have to throw at you after that last comment. No, I'm actually really looking forward to talking about this episode, man. This one definitely is one of those ones where as I was watching it, I was remembering seeing it for the first time, and I've seen it multiple times, but there was just something different about watching it this time where it just kind of it made me feel a little nostalgic. So I remember this one fonder than I thought I would. Or, I mean, I said I remember it. I watched it and I was more fond of it than I remember being in those regards. So I'm already talking too much. I better throw it back to you so we can get going on this roller coaster ride here. He is the man, the myth. He's the drug that you chug. It's Miles.
I have to ask, based on your intro there, were you excited to talk about it before you rewatched the episode? As in, like, did you realize what episode it was? Or was it only after you rewatched the episode that it was kind of like, oh, this one, and then it got you excited?
Well, the service that I watch it on for like 75% of the episodes will give a description of the episode before. When I read the title, I was like, I have no idea what this is. Is this like Mo trying to hurt himself or something? And then I read the description and I was like, oh, and then I saw the little thumbnail picture of his new face. And I was like, okay, this one. Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about here. And then I was like, yeah, it's okay with the contest at the beginning and everything. But then as I was watching it, I was like, oh man, I forgot and I was able to pinpoint why I liked the episode so much. And we'll get into that. But yeah, I enjoyed this one.
Right on. Yeah. So for me, I also read Pymoelian and was like, huh? And to be honest, I don't really ever really read the descriptions. I just kind of look at the title and the thumbnail when I'm looking ahead for the next week. And on IMDb, they use the thumbnail of just Duff Man, like just completely alone, like no context whatsoever. So like I had like no concept of what it was. And it wasn't until I saw a picture of Moe's pretty face that I was like, oh yeah. And then instantly it snapped back to me. Or at least the
reality.
At least the majority of the A plot did. Definitely, I remember the B plot, but it's such a short. Even on the commentary, they talked about it was more of a runner joke than a true B plot.
Yeah, we've had that happen a little bit more frequently over the last couple seasons. I feel like where the B plot's almost like a D plot.
It's really just like almost a palate cleanser, just to give you a breath in between the main storyline. Or to let them like suddenly change locations without having to explain it. So let's back up here and say that we are talking about the episode Pymoelian today, which originally aired on February 27th in the year 2000.
The year 2000.
The title is actually based on an old play called Pymoelian, which opened on Broadway at the Park Theater on October 12th of 1914 and ran for 72 performances. It's a play that was actually written in German and translated and was written all the way back in 1913. So very old play at this point, but that is the reference that they use for Pymoelian.
Yeah, it's definitely an obscure one.
We do get a chalkboard gag on this episode. It says that dodgeball ends at the gym door. Not at my house, it doesn't.
That one made my brain wander a little bit of like who Bart was hitting with dodgeballs.
Yeah, probably everybody.
Yeah.
I really do like the couch gag a lot on this one. We see basically the Simpsons come into their living room and everything looks normal, except Matt Groening's autograph is on the floor of the Simpsons home near Marge. And Marge actually starts to scrub it off the floor, but then we see an animated Matt Groening come in and re-sign it just to put his name back on it.
Yeah, it just made me chuckle with something like dumbed down and simple because we've had some extravagant ones lately. So I like the simplicity in this one.
So right away, I get a little bit of information from the commentary track on this one, which featured Mike Scully, Carolyn Omine, George Meyer, Mark Kirkland, Matt Selman, and the writer of this episode, Larry Doyle, is actually in on like essentially Skype or teleconference or whatever they used in 2006 for this type of technology. But he was actually the writer. Larry Doyle had written the book. I Love You, Beth Cooper, which was being made into a movie at the time. So he was actually in Burbank calling in as he is working on that project.
I feel like that's a somewhat guilty pleasure movie. Like it was better than I expected it to be.
So I used to, whenever I'm going to get back to the point that made me jump to this in a minute. We're going to talk about couch gags, and then we'll talk about the episode. But since we're talking about movies, I used to, when I was younger, I would buy a ticket to a movie in the morning, and then I would just stay at the theater all day and bounce from like movie to movie to movie to movie. And sometimes that meant that while you were waiting to see like a movie that you wanted to, you might just have to duck into a theater of a movie that you weren't like planning to. And that movie for me was I Love You, Beth Cooper. I actually dipped into that movie while I was waiting for Clerks 2 to start. And I ended up watching the whole thing and really liked it. It was fantastic. And then I just went into a later showing of Clerks 2. So it was a good day. I remember it fondly.
There you go.
But I bring up the couch gag to begin with to say that Mike Scully actually talked about, for at least at this time on The Simpsons, for this season, they would come up with 11 new couch gags per year, and then they would just use each of them twice throughout the season.
Interesting.
Which kind of, I think, makes sense of why we see them, and they're like, oh, I think they just did that one.
Yeah. But that's interesting to think about, because like sometimes in your brain, you think that you've seen that one in previous seasons a long time ago, but if they like, it could be that Mandela effect where nope, it's just twice in one season now.
Or perhaps it was actually another alternate universe's couch gag that we like crashed with.
Oh man,
you never know. You never know. I do have another note right now from the commentary that right off the bat, yeah, honestly, they got talking with Larry right off the bat on this one, and then admittedly, they went quiet for a while, and then I'll have some more stuff to say towards the end. But I do think it's interesting that they were talking about the origins of this episode, and in the original draft of the script, all of the beer fest stuff that we're going to talk about, like with the Duff competition and everything that we're going to get to in the first act, all of that came later, because in the original script, the first act actually consisted of Homer buying Marge breast implants for their anniversary.
Oh,
but he didn't actually get her set up with an appointment. He actually physically bought the breast implants and gave them to Marge, wrapped up, and somehow they get in a fight and end up trading the physical implants to Mo, who ends up being able to exchange them for plastic surgery, and then leading into the rest of the episode that we got for the most part. But just crazy to think about. In February of 2000, we almost had an episode that started with Homer and Marge getting in a fight because Homer bought Marge breast implants. Crazy. Probably the moment that Simpsons erotica started. I'm pretty sure that's when if we go back and look at the origins of those websites, that's going to be it right there.
I mean, there is going to be an episode in the upcoming season where she gets breast implants.
There you go.
But
go.
This one went about, oh man, that would have been a little tough to get over. How do you get past that fight?
That's a big one. I mean, I don't know, man. That'd be interesting to see, I suppose.
the fight or the breasts? What are you talking about, Miles?
Yeah, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. All right, so I'm a subscriber to those websites I was talking about now. Instead of starting with this fire of a mess of a fight that could have had, instead we start the episode with an actual fire alarm in the middle of the night. We hear the fire smoke detector beeping, making loud noises. Homer is yelling that there is a fire. This is not a drill. Lisa and Bart both get up hurriedly, deciding what they need to take. For Bart, it's Santa's little helper. For Lisa, it's her saxophone, and then Snowball 2, and then she has to decide amongst her favorite trophy, which she goes with attendance. I also love that when we run past Marge in the hallway, she also seemingly has chosen her 2 favorite things to save, which included Maggie and her vacuum cleaner.
I gotta say, it's never a good sign when Homer's wide awake and coherent in the middle of the night. Like that should be a dead giveaway.
Yeah, the fact that he is the one that is alarmed and usually Homer would be like feeling the bed, like it's not hot yet, I'll keep sleeping,
or he'd be like disheveled and just like running through the wall to get outside. One or the other, I don't know.
The family frantically gets outside into the front yard in their PJs holding their favorite things, and Homer simply announces, "Good work, everyone. We're sure to be first in line for Duff Days."
You set off the smoke alarm to rush us to a beer festival?
I know. I'm a character. Now a little beer music to get us in the mood. And he puts in... The kids are instantly like terrified. He puts in like some German like polka music, I guess. Like, I don't know. There's definitely an accordion involved. And the kids are like desperately trying to escape. But to their horror, they find that the window roll down things, which were like actual like winders back in the day. Like you physically had to roll down your window at this time, not a button. So Homer, like, kind of gleefully from the front seat, almost evil in a way, he's like dangling these handles and he's like looking for these.
Well, I thought the one they were using was a wind up and the door handle because they can't open the door either.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but it was an automatic. Or I'm sorry, it was a manual switch is what I'm trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
Analog, not digital. But though they did point out on the commentary their own animation mistake, because as soon as they cut to the car, the Simpsons no longer have any of the things that they had grabbed to take with them, unless I guess maybe everything's in the trunk and they just didn't show it.
Well, and in the next scene when they pull up to the beer festival, they have their regular clothes on and not their PJs.
Yep. Yeah.
And they're able to get outside of the car, even though he took the door handles off.
The door handles. See, I think those are just the window handles, not the door handles. I think they're trying to get out the window.
Then they could have opened the door and just jumped out of the car.
I suppose. Maybe they had the child safety locks on. Or maybe they can't open while the car's in motion. Or maybe a wizard did it.
Change their clothes.
I do love right away you see the Simpsons arrive at Duff Days, and like Bart and Lisa are just so like in heaven to not have beer music playing when Homer shuts off the car. But then as soon as they open the doors, there's a live band playing the exact same music right outside.
It's fantastic.
They walk through the front entrance and see one of the 7 Duffs, Surly, who is very loudly proclaiming, "Drink Duff responsibly. Drink Duff responsibly." That does feel how it is. Marge immediately volunteers to be the designated driver, as it seems that once they entered, Homer had already put himself past that point.
Well, he was trying to take off the bottle cap on Surly's costume.
Yeah, that's right.
It was like,
I'm going to drink you. And Marge is like, "I guess I'm driving."
Yeah.
But that's okay, because she is going to get to visit the Duff designated driver's Rockin' Fun Zone.
Oh, that sounds pretty fun.
But it is not. It is literally just like a wooden fence with razor wire surrounding it. And like she literally gets padlocked inside.
I don't see the need for the razor wire.
In a shocking twist of events, we encounter some robotic animatronics that are not evil in the Simpsons universe.
Homer and Bart don't go over there.
That's true. Maybe in like a deleted scene,
yeah,
they would like that. Their angry fight would break loose. But it's the Alco Hall of Fame, featuring animatronics of Ulysses S. Grant, Babe Ruth, and Benjamin Franklin, who even as robots get a little too drunk and start like one-upping each other in an aggressive, like toxic way.
Almost in an animatronic going crazy kind of sense.
They were teetering. If Homer or Bart had been there, eyes would have gone red and hell would have broken loose. There's also a fun kid zone at Duff Land or whatever, Duff Garden. It's not Duff Gardens. It's the beer festival, whatever it is. They've got a kid zone where you can see what it's like to get drunk. And they just strap you to one of those like spinning things where it's like three circles, a gyroscope. Thank you. Those are like wildly popular for a brief time there, like probably 2005 to like 2010-ish, maybe in that time zone.
I would back it up even before then.
Possibly, but it used to be you couldn't go to a theme park or like a fair or a festival without there being the opportunity to experience the gyroscope for a small fee. In this case, it was a drunk simulator, and they strap everybody in. They think you get to see Bart's actual experience. And there is a really fun moment where after they get off, they're like all like kind of staggering around in a very drunken manner. And even Milhouse like puts his arm around Bart. He's like, this guy right here.
I wanted to know if they said anything on the commentary about like, did they tote the line on this joke a little bit? Like was Fox or any of the censors like, you're basically showing them drunk even though they're not drunk?
No, they just made jokes about how isn't drinking fun, kids, or something like that. Yeah. So no, I don't think this was pushing the line, to be honest. Maybe.
Well, I didn't. I know you don't think it's pushing the line, but I was wondering if Fox or somebody else did.
No, I don't believe they thought in this case that they were pushing the line either. Yeah. We get the main event, it would seem, or at least the most hyped thing that we see at this time so far at the bar or the beer gardens.
The bar gardens.
It's not even that either. Again, I wish I could remember what they're called. Duff Days. There you go. But we get an announcer who calls out, all right, Springfield, belly up for the Duff Beer Tender of the Year contest.
Woo!
Now, fresh from his appearance before the House Subcommittee on Teenage Alcoholism, Duffman.
Are you ready for some Duff love?
Woo!
All right, today we're going to find out which of these bartenders has the right stuff to dispense Duff. From the Green Potato Pub at O'Hare International Airport, Michael Finn.
Woo, yeah!
From Juggernauts in Hollywood, California, Titania.
And we'll just take a moment here to say that Titania is very clearly the early favorite in this competition. She has a lot of support from the crowd for some very visible reason.
Yeah, we can't ever.
Two very visible reasons, really.
And now the local mug who fills your mug. Nope. Yeah, he does fill your mug with the drug you chug. Oh, yeah. Give it up for Mo Sizlak.
And we get this actually very interesting moment that I think is important. They actually talked about it later in the commentary. We're going to go and talk about it now. But Mo has a moment where he's actually backstage, and you can see him kind of peeking out. He's a little bit nervous. And this is a moment that's very much designed to kind of humanize Mo a bit, make him a little bit more sympathetic, so that when he does go out and get absolute dead silence in his hometown, it makes it hurt more.
That's a good point. Yeah.
They talked about Mo as a character a lot. And in particularly in this point that Mo is very difficult to make sympathetic because of how much of a scoundrel they have made him so many times on the show before. We've talked about it. I mean, like if you look at the things that they've shown Mo to do, he's like an animal poacher, a human smuggler, a drug dealer. At one point he I think in this they talked about a moment where like at one point he like robs Homer and then like Hank Azaria just like ad-libbed like yeah I rob now too, and like so they make him do all these awful things. So they actually have to be it's challenging to make Mo sympathetic. They actually really have to make a lot of effort to one be really mean to him, like put him into a position that forces you to feel sympathy for him. And
I think they did a good job.
And I was kind of getting to that point. Yeah, they did a really good job in this episode because you do feel bad for Mo and when especially when he's feeling down about feeling ugly, which is what we're going to get into as this competition goes along.
Maybe the Game of Thrones writers learned something from the Simpsons writing staff before they tried to make a incestual man that pushes children out of a window sympathetic by the end. So,
are you trying to say the last season of The Simpsons is going to be terrible?
No, because they still have Simpson writers doing it.
Fair. I've never seen any of Game of Thrones other than like the first few episodes, but I know that the last season was very, very upsetting to people.
We'll just say it was poorly received and poorly lit.
Way to get it back to the script, Richie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we were
talking
about Irish guys earlier. Oh man, what's the name of the Irishman that dodges bullets?
This must be a dad joke. What is it?
It's Ricochet.
Nah, nice.
There was a better one. I just can't remember it. So we'll continue. It'll come back to me. They always do.
So we actually do have a bartending competition here, but we can pretty clearly see that it's not exactly fair because in the first round, which is trick pouring.
Well, Mo gets cut off even when he's like introducing himself. Like he's like, "Hello, Springfield. How are you?" And then they're all looking at Titania because she's splashing beer all over herself.
Yeah, that's right. She draws it back to herself, which tends to be her go-to move. But in the first round of the competition, Finn uses a cleaver and he like
I really like that.
Yeah, it's honestly, how does this not win? Like this right here shows you that this show is bullshit. This whole competition is just completely whack.
Damn the competition.
Honestly, what were the writers thinking on this one? But no, Finn, like he chops a beer can and the beer can falls apart, leaving a cylinder of liquid
beer
somehow,
on the counter.
Yeah, somehow standing there without containment. And he's able to take the cold mug and like scoop the beer up into a serving, which is fantastic. Yep. Then we get Titania, who one-ups Finn simply by standardly pouring a beer while jumping up and down.
2 beers. We'll give her
2 beers while jumping up and down. Yeah, but that's the jumping up and down part is the trick. And then Mo speed pours and spells out the word Duff on the counter.
He doesn't just spell it out. He spells it out the way the actual like Duff label looks.
Yeah, like he's like creating it in art in Duff mugs.
Exactly. Yeah, Mo did a great job too. Like
it's like how you do your Call of Duty flags or whatever with like pixel art, only with beer.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's a good comparison that nobody will get.
Nobody will understand. Yeah.
I made a Mr. Burns once.
Yay, that's true. Yeah, and then you do a Krusty. I know you did a Bender.
I did a Bender on Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yep.
And then I did a what's the crap? Dr. Zoidberg. I did Calvin and Hobbes. I did Filbert from Rocko's Modern Life. They're posted online somewhere. Go look up.
Nice. So Titania wins with her jumping up and down in the first round, and we moved on to round number 2, which is a Duff quiz. And Duff Man asks, Duff beer is brewed from hops, barley, and sparkling clear mountain. What?
Ding! Goat.
And that's Titania, who Duff Man is like, meh, close enough.
Yay!
And like the crowd doesn't care. They're all drunk and they just want to watch the hot girl with tits jump up and down and pour beer. So that's kind of where we're at. And it cuts out to the crowd where Homer's sipping on a beer and he's like, you can really taste the goat.
But I like the part after this because they're like, okay, now it's on to round 3. This round makes up 98% of the score, making the previous rounds a complete waste.
Which is how like so many game shows are.
Yes. Absolutely.
And also, I'm a Harry Potter fan, but let's talk about the bullshit of the Golden Snitch. Like, what's the point of every other position? Like, why don't you just have 7 seekers? Let the other team score all they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
It's a bold strategy, Miles.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off.
It pays off. Now I want to watch that movie.
Oh, man. So they remind the audience that the winner of round 3 and the whole competition will get their picture in the new Duff calendar, which of course, of the 3 people up there, Titania is the one that they would clearly want to put on the cover of a calendar. But we're going to see how that goes down here in a minute. First, we cut to Homer, Carl, and Lenny in the crowd, who, as much as they've been cheering for Titania, they, for their credit, are trying to like show their support for their friend. So Homer reveals M, and then Carl reveals O, and then Lenny reveals also O, where the E should have been. And we get a great little snippet from Carl.
Well, moo, Lenny, you were supposed to be E.
See what happens when you skip rehearsal?
All right. I'm ready, Miles. What's round 3 going to be?
We move on to the drunk toss, which is an important part of bartending. And immediately when you see this lineup, you're like, why in the hell would you choose Barney to be your drunk to toss in this situation?
Hey, it's like college football, okay? Strength of schedule is a very important determining factor of who gets to play for the national championship. So strength of schedule here in retrospect.
If Mo can throw him even close, he's going to get
that should be bonus points.
Yeah, for sure. I get it.
Catania's guy is like a skinny little beanpole dude.
Like nothing. Yeah, exactly. He is a character we've seen before, though. Like just like a random drunk. I feel like
I've never seen him. I've seen the other barfly that Finn tosses.
Maybe that's who I'm thinking about. Yeah. And Finn, to be fair, Michael Finn does a very perfect form toss. He gets good distance, good lift. The drunk lands on a sand pile, much like you would see a shot competition performed in. And it's a good throw. And then on to Titania's turn, who immediately protests and is like, ew, you said if I slept with you, I wouldn't have to touch the drunk. She's talking to Duff Man.
Duff Man says a lot of things. Oh, yeah.
And Titania disqualifies herself because she refuses to touch her drunk, which makes it seemingly impossible to throw your drunk. But Mo is about to prove us wrong. Mo attempts to pick up Barney and toss him the old-fashioned way, but clearly with their size difference, it doesn't work so well. So instead, we see Mo walk off screen for a moment, and the next thing we see is Mo running full speed at Barney with a wooden plank with a nail sticking out of it, and Barney runs in fear, essentially throwing himself, and he lands perfectly nose to nose with the other drunk thrown by Finn, except at the last moment, Barney's mouth drops open and his tongue extends out, giving him the extra couple inches he needed to win.
I feel like he actually was just a bit short of the other barfly, so it looked like Mo lost until the tongue
and then it came out. Yeah, maybe that's more accurate.
And the winner, Mo Sislak.
That's great. Thanks you a lot. I just want to say it was an honor for me to compete against the Mick and the chick with the rack there.
What do you call an Irishman who likes to sit on his front porch?
Guinness. I don't know.
No, that would be old patio furniture.
Awesome.
I told you to come back to me. All right.
Hey, that's I like though. We get a quick call back here to the crowd because Lenny is as Mo wins. He's like, "Hey, that's my move."
Yeah. And now to take your official calendar portrait, Duff's vice president in charge of calendars and fake IDs, Phil Angelides.
We see Phil take the picture with a Polaroid, and a very unflattering picture comes out.
Oh, that's a mug you don't want to chug.
And they meet the executive is like, to Duff Man, knock it off, Larry. We can't put this face on our calendar.
I want to go ahead and throw this out here because I called out the Simpsons years later when they called Duff Man by a different name other than Larry. Now, IMDb will point out that his name will change to Barry, but I could have sworn it was like Sid or something like that in the future. But I think years down the road, they'll even make a jest where there's like 11 or 12 different Duff Mans that have had the mantle basically. So we'll have to keep track of the names.
Their liver could only last for a season or two tops.
Or maybe something will happen in this episode that will get Larry done away with. Stay tuned.
Oh, interesting. That could happen. We don't know. Yeah, they do talk about on IMDb about his name is Barry, and they did talk about on the commentary that they believe this is the first time they ever named him at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, moving on, we see that, there's basically a little controversy where they're like, we told him we're going to put his face on the calendar. We can't do that. We kind of end right there for now. And we see that Homer and the kids are now picking up Marge from the Rockin' Fun Sobriety Zone, which also had Pooh, Skinner, and Milhouse's dad, all as the designated drivers. But it was very much like mapping it to a prison sentence. Like they were all doing prison-y things. Milhouse's dad was pushing.
Who was he driving for?
What's that?
He's alone. Who would he be driving?
Who is he driving for? He's just himself. Yeah, he doesn't have anybody else to be with. Yeah. Milhouse clearly won't be able to. Marge is lifting weights while holding Maggie, though. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Then on the way back to the car, they pass one of the 7 Duffs, who is now handing out pink elephant balloons, which I assume is a reference to Dumbo. And Marge is like, "Oh, kids, would you like a balloon?"
Yeah, right, Mom. Then I'd like a rattle and a wowie pop. Actually, I would like a wowie pop.
Bart very quickly changes his mind. And Lisa chimes in, "Those balloons won't biodegrade for 10,000 years. And if Bart gets a Wally Pop, I want a Wally Pop."
And that's when you get Maggie actually reaching for one of the balloons.
So Homer's like, "Oh, Maggie wants a balloon, and Daddy'll take a hand stamp so he can get back in." So Homer to Marge is like, "I'm just kidding." But as they walk out, he turns around to the beer, one of the Surly, one of the Duffs. He's like, "Remember this face." We cut to Moe's Tavern, where Homer excitedly comes in announcing that the new Duff calendars are out, and everyone's excited. Moe even moves. He's like, "Move over, liquor license," and he takes it down to make room for his calendar.
"Hey, Moe, this license expired in 1973, and it's only good in Rhode Island. And it's signed by you."
I've been meaning to get that updated. For this state and real.
Which you will see in the future. Marge. Moe has to go back to his college and speak to his old brewing professors and whatnot.
That's true. Very accurate, yeah. But we see that when Moe pulls off or opens up the calendar, we should say, where his face is in fact right there, but it's covered.
Poster boy for the new millennium.
That's right. He's covered though with a sticker. Wait, no, a second sticker, and then a third. And basically, they just keep peeling off more and more and more layers of stickers. But they did a lot of work to make sure that Moe's ugly mug isn't anywhere seen on their calendar.
But eventually, he peels off enough stickers where he actually sees his own face.
Eventually it is there, but even then it's like all covered with like sticker remnant, so you can barely see it. But it seems that Moe maybe has like never cleaned the bar mirror or his bathroom mirror, because he's like, "Am I really that ugly?"
Moe, it's all relative. Is Lenny really that dumb?
Hey.
Is Barney that drunk?
Ah.
Is Homer really that lazy, bald, and fat? Then they all put their heads down.
Everyone gets like really sad, and Moe's like, "Oh my God, it's worse than I thought." and everyone's like literally crying. And then we get a crazy moment that doesn't happen often in The Simpsons, but Carl actually looks dead into the fourth wall, and as if he's talking to us.
"See, this is why I don't talk much."
Which is a great meta joke, one of 2 that we'll get in this episode. And a great way to bring us to the end of our first act, which I will point out was 7 minutes and 11 seconds long, which puts it right at a third. So far, this episode is on more of a even pace than it has been in recent weeks.
But we've been talking about it for half an hour.
That's how we do here at Best Darn Diddly. So we'll keep going. It starts out Act 2 with the guys trying to console Moe and saying that he's not as ugly as people at White Castle.
Come on, look at me. I'm a gargoyle. What, with the cauliflower ear here and the lizard lips?
And then the barflies start helping out, like little rat eyes and a caveman brow, and don't forget that fish mouth.
Okay, I get it. I ain't pleasing to look at.
Or listen to. Or be with. Again, they have to be mean to Moe because he's such an unlikable character in other episodes. It's the only way we can get him sympathetic. And they are very much beating up on him in this episode.
It's the Eminem defense. Make fun of yourself in a roundabout way, and it humanizes you.
Oh, you're talking about specifically from rap battling in 8 Mile. Yes, definitely. No, just in life. But Lenny does have a little bit more constructive feedback than just, you're not pleasant to be around or listen to or be with. But he says, "Moe, if you're tired of being an eyesore, why not get some plastic surgery?"
Plastic surgery, eh? Maybe they could dynamite Mount Crapmore here. Give me a new kisser.
But Carl points out something very important about plastic surgery. He says, I don't know, plastic surgery might make you look good on the outside, but you still might feel bad on the inside.
I'd look good on the outside, right?
Yeah, but you'd still feel bad on the inside.
Plastic surgery it is. Carl Carlson, you just saved my life.
We cut to see that Homer is like taking this opportunity of Moe's distraction to try to rob him. I guess he robs now too. Hey, get out of there. We cut back briefly, very, very briefly. We're going to touch base with our quote unquote B plot, if you will, D plot, if you prefer. Back home, we see Maggie is playing.
Go ahead. Sorry. No. I'll save that. Go ahead.
I was going to say Maggie's playing with her pink elephant balloon. And at first Bart and Lisa are like making fun of her or what a dumb baby, but then they also get entranced with the balloon. It's like a sibling thing that they're doing together. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, Bart, like the door opens and the balloon starts to head for the door.
The door was just open. I don't know
what just they left were doing. Open. Yeah.
Homer probably Bart ran back to Duff.
Remember this face. Yeah. But Bart makes like a diving save to make it so that the balloon doesn't go out the door. Great save by Bart. Unfortunately, though, the balloon sucks right into the chimney, right up and right out. But Bart's like, it's okay. Don't panic. I'll get the bikes.
I hope they're hover bikes.
And I love this so much because Bart goes from being like very focused and still is very much on like mission, get this pink balloon. But at the same time, he also gets so into the idea of like hover bikes. He's like, oh man, that would be so cool. And like Lisa's trying to insult her brother, not like give him like happy ideas.
But she believed in hover bikes too, just a few seasons ago.
Yeah.
The Moofentarian episode. Yeah. All right. So that's the end of this scene. Miles.
And there's only like one more scene with the D plot period anyway.
Do you know why the balloon segments are so short?
Why is that, Richie?
Inflation.
Hey, Richie, you know what you call someone who tells dad jokes who isn't a father?
Yes, I do. Damn it. It's not a parent. Oh my gosh. A faux pas.
A faux pas. Yeah. Well done, sir. Well done.
Yep.
R/dad jokes, everyone.
We've got like 3 in this episode. Well, 4 if you count Miles.
I think you've got like 6 in this episode so far, sir.
Yeah. I just have to open my database.
So Moe visits the cosmetic surgeon for a pre-operation consultation. This is where you very much get like the nip tuck thing where they're like drawing all over his face and whatnot. Moe's like, it's hopeless, ain't it?
No. I love a challenge. First, we must install buttocks.
No. No luxury items, just the face.
Okay, I'm going to move this up, this wider. Going to lose that. I've never even seen one of these.
Can we just can the medical mumbo jumbo? Can you fix me or not?
Well, we'll see. You know, most faces need a little remodeling, but this is a total teardown. Let me clean up this mess I made.
And he actually sprays Moe in the eye with like Windex. Hey, that really burns there.
Oh, stop it. You're wasting Faye Dunaway.
Which, that's just like a quick jab for no reason at Faye Dunaway, who is a very famous Academy Award-winning actress who was born in 1941, has been working since 1962 and still works to this day, but has had at least a bit of plastic surgery, you can tell by looking at her. I will also say at this time real quick that this episode is very, very much the Hank Azaria show, because in this episode, Hank Azaria is playing obviously Moe, but he also plays Duffman and the plastic surgeon. So for all 3 acts, what's that?
Did you do Linear Carl?
He might as well. Honestly, I can't remember.
It's hard to keep track.
He does so many, but Hank Azaria and Alex does. I think that's who took over. Alec Desert is the new Carl, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Hank Azaria does Carl.
All right, that's everybody.
Yeah,
Said,
so I mean, yeah, and Carl has more lines in this episode than any other, like than he usually does. Maybe not any other, but that much. Right? Yeah. So again, like this is very much the Hank Azaria episode because he is doing probably legitimately 85% of the voices in this episode because Marge has very few lines, Homer has very few lines outside of the first act. The kids only have their very short balloon like segment. And then you got a couple of the barflies outside of the ones voiced by Hank Azaria. So there you go.
There you go. I'm going to say more like 50% of the lines.
We get the conclusion here of the D storyline as Bart is on. All right, you know what? There might be one more now. I say that.
Yeah.
They might not wrap up here, but we basically show that they're trying to get to the balloon. Bart is on Lisa's shoulders, who is riding the bike. Bart screaming, "You got to get closer!"
I'm trying. Can I get on your shoulders? Blah, 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 blah.
And Bart's like, "Yeah, I'm not riding a girl's bike. Ew. Hey, it's getting away. Step on it." And he starts kicking Lisa like a horse.
Like, yeah. Stop kicking me.
Yeah. They start talking. We cut back to Moe's surgery where the doctor is talking on the operation or with Moe on the operating table to his nurses about how challenging and ugly Moe is and how it's going to be a lot of work. And Moe's like, "Hey, I can hear you here."
Oh, that is our bad. We had it set to new car smell instead of anesthetic.
But then you cut to the anesthesiologist who literally just turns a dial, and the only two things on the dial are new car smell and anesthetic. So hilarious, but makes zero sense. Meanwhile, now that was it. We cut back like for just a moment to the A story to then immediately cut back to see the pink elephant balloon floating
to the B balloon story.
The balloon is now floating the top of a skyscraper that Lisa and Bart pull the bike up in front of, and they run inside to chase the balloon up. And then we get this
Jeeves too up front.
We get this really, yeah, that's true. The like greeter at the door of this fancy building. It's not concierge, but the doorman. But there it is. But you get this actually oddly sweet moment for crime because like they leave the bike on the episode. There is a lot of crime in this episode. They leave the bike on the street, and Snake comes along, kid in tow, and like he puts the kid on the bike, and the kid starts riding the bikeway, and he's like, "I'm stealing, Daddy.
I'm stealing."
And Snake like kind of tears up as if he's like proud of his son's like first time. It's like his first time not riding a bike, but his first time stealing a bike.
Oh, right.
We cut inside to the a conference meeting where a bunch of men in suits are saying, "We need a symbol, something that says we're gay and Republican."
And then Maggie's pink elephant balloon literally floats through the window that's open.
And another guy is like, "A little on the nose, don't you think?"
And
but Lisa and Bart come in right afterwards.
"Excuse me, we just came to get our balloon."
And the first man stands up, grabs a balloon, and hands it to her and says, "Here you go, and have a bumper sticker."
Thank you.
But then the bumper sticker says a gay president in 2084.
We are realistic.
Which, hey, to be fair, the next election is in 2024, and it hasn't happened yet. So they might be on. They might be onto something there. But yeah, apparently the term "pink elephant" is actually on Urban Dictionary, and it is referencing a homosexual Republican.
Which I didn't even know the Republicans allowed that.
You would like it's very like self-hating. Like that gets into a lot of political stuff, but yeah, like any gay Republican is like supporting a lot of like things that really don't support themselves. But hey, to each their own, I suppose.
I mean, the Simpsons were foreshadowing, so in 2084 we know we'll have a gay president. However,
how amazing would that be? That'd be hilarious. Is 2084 even an election? Yeah, it is. Okay.
I think the next episode is actually the future one where Lisa's president. So we're going to be getting into all the Trump stuff here next week or the next Simpsons episode recording.
I'm not going to be nice. I'll just throw it out there. Hey, if you're like, man, I do not want to hear anybody just talk shit about Donald Trump, just don't tune into that one. It'll be fine. We'll see on the flip side.
The episode would be fantastic, man.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I'm back.
Oh god. Shoot it. I'm suddenly very pro 2A. I don't know why. But anyway. So we cut back. We are done. Just to be clear, that is the end of that pink elephant balloon thing. That's it. That's the whole B plot, if you want to call it that. We cut back to Mo's surgeon, who we see the face wrapped up with cotton and whatnot. Gauze. Thank you. Homer is there for some reason. Mo was in the surgery. He kind of had to be there. Homer is there to watch the removal of the bandages, though. And the doctor slowly reveals a gorgeous woman, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, now how about Mo?" Just complete total diversion type of joke. So now they go to Mo, and the surgeon's like, "Well, Mo, now we see if you go on my wall of fame or my blooper reel."
And it takes a while to unwrap his face.
And when they see it, they're in shock. Homer actually gasps.
So did the surgeon.
The
camera angle on this was very well done because it's from behind Mo's chair. So all you can see is the outline of his hair from behind and the reaction of the surgeon and Homer. And
I feel really it's homage to the Joker. No, actually, that's a good one too. But I was actually going to say that maybe it's both. Maybe the Joker homages the Twilight Zone, where they have the episode where it's called "Beauty is in the Eye of the Beholder," and it's basically the plastic surgeon reveals this very beautiful woman, but then we go and see that the entire time all of the doctors have actually been deformed. So because she's beautiful by our standard, she's actually considered ugly among these monsters. So I felt like the shot there had homage to that. Maybe I'm wrong. Probably. Maybe it was completely different. But yeah, also the Joker, which again I think is also a reference to that Twilight Zone episode.
Yep. Look at all that. You guys are learning stuff today. This is fantastic. It's fantastic, man.
Stuff that you're never gonna use. Save the Trump for next week. I can only do it once. Yeah. Only once, Richie. But Mo is convinced that he's a monster. I knew it. I'll just crawl back and live in a sewer, only periodically emerging to sue you, pointing at the doctor.
And then they hand him a mirror so that he can see himself.
And the thing is, Mo is quite conventionally attractive all of a sudden. It's very, very unusual. Yeah, he's got the back of his head looks exactly like it did previously, but somehow coming out of his plastic surgery, Mo emerged with new hair, a straighter posture, and a completely new wardrobe. And all of it's working for him because he's suddenly, even with the nurses on the way out, he's very, very popular. I do love right here, though, Mo actually, it seems, starts to cry when he sees his new face for the first time. But the surgeon's like, oopsie, we got some leakage. Let me just cauterize that for you. And he jabs a hot needle into Mo's face. Oh, ah! But
that's
again,
get them going outside.
And the nurses are like, come back and see us, Mo.
Oh, Mo.
Now Mo has a second chance at a new life, a second chance for revenge.
He asked Homer if he died on the operating table because of how everyone's giving him all this love and attention, and Homer's like, "Yeah, but just for a minute." But then Homer also goes, "Okay, now you're one of us beautiful people." Now.
Yes. Oh man, that's so not in the script right here, but that was such a good line. Yeah, Homer puts his arm around Mo. He's like, "Now that you're one of the beautiful people like me," and you gotta have a little bit of props just for Homer's confidence. Good for him. I think if we all had that much confidence in ourselves, everyone would probably do a little bit better. But Republicans. Homer is probably a little more overconfident than he should be in this regard.
Yeah.
But Mo is now on a mission to get revenge, and we cut to Duffman, who is actually watering his yard. He's like, that brown patch needs a little H2O. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Duffman, let's see how you like a sticker on your face. Yeah.
And he actually slaps a sticker right in the middle of Duffman's face. Duffman collapses, and he's like, Duffman, can't breathe. Oh, no. Oh.
So there you go. The death.
So
of
that's
Larry.
why Larry is no longer Duffman.
Yeah,
We'll meet very soon.
That's what I wrote in my script or in my notes.
Nice.
It makes sense. It tracks. You never see what happened there.
We also see Mo getting revenge on the woman who turned him down for the springtime pumpkin dance back in high school, which is like a little bit colder than revenge should be served even.
And I know it's creepy that he knows where she lives.
Yeah, like he's been keeping up with her for a while. And then the like part about it too is like when he tells her what's going on, she immediately is like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I hurt you. I'm a different person than who I was back then." But Homer's like already committed to the plan.
Catches Mo for a loop. He doesn't know what to do now.
Yeah.
He's like,
But Homer pops out of the bush next to him and throws a rock through her window. And then he's like, run! So he does. They just take off. And last but not least, we stop at Studio Channel 6, where Homer is, he's like, oh, are you going to get revenge on the lottery guy who never picks our numbers?
I remember laughing my butt off at that joke when I was a kid.
Yeah. But Mo actually has an older revenge to face than the lottery guy even. We cut back all the way to Mo's acting days, and he was auditioning for the role of Dr. Tad Winslow on the hit soap It Never Ends.
Great name.
That is a great name. We see a couple of producers and casting agents who call out Mo. Mo barely gets a line out before they immediately send him on his way. And then
Angela, I'm afraid I think you next.
Yeah, it was nothing. And then we see that Mo is actually overhearing a conversation between this producer and casting agent where the producer is like, "What were you thinking?"
Well, you said you wanted gritty. In other words, ugly.
I wanted Mary Ann on Gilligan's Island ugly, not Cornelius on Planet of the Apes ugly. TV ugly, not ugly. Oh, and that's where you scan out and you can see Mo is actually listening on a stethoscope. And obviously that hurts to hear, right?
I mean, even at loud temperatures, it would still hurt to hear. I've been called ugly, fugly, pug fugly, but never ugly.
And Homer's like, well, it's time to get some closure. Extreme closure.
Extreme closure.
So this joke actually comes from a very real place in life. I believe it was Mike Scully on the commentary talked about when he was working on a live action show. He actually overheard a conversation very, very similar to this. It was much more coded. It wasn't about him. It was like about somebody else. But basically, he overheard people talking, and they used the phrase, how are we looking cosmetically? And that on set was basically, or like around the studio, is basically a way of like asking, like, do we have an attractive enough cast or not?
Wow.
Yeah. Which is why we're podcasting and not on television. Because we're somewhere between pug fugly and ugly. But we see modern day now. Mo is back on the set, face to face with the same woman who called Mo ugly behind his pug ugly back, which changes.
That's an ugly thing to do.
Yeah, it really is. We actually see that she's currently in an argument with the current Tad Winslow, who has been playing the role for 25 years and demands a raise.
Oh, shut up, you windy old hack.
And another thing, you have to stop calling me that.
Remember me? 25 years ago, you said I was too ugly to play Dr. Tad Winslow.
And the producer's like, I did? Well, that's why pencils have erasers, hun. You're our new Dr. Tad Winslow.
Really? You mean it?
And the old Tad Winslow's like, but there can't be two Dr. Tad Winslows. That's going to be... Oh. And he realizes it, takes off his eye patch, and hands it over to the new Dr. Tad Winslow, which is Mo Sizlak. And this is the moment Mo has been waiting for his whole life. He has now hit his dream role on a daytime soap opera. But as we pan out once again, we see that Homer is still very committed to the original plan because he's actually pouring gasoline all over the set of It Never Ends and like giggling frantically.
Homer, no, change of plans.
And Homer like drops the can, like he he goes along, but you can tell he's really disappointed by it.
He's like, what? No, he wasn't. He was like, whatever.
I thought he was like, I wanted to burn something, but yeah,
he was
it was very nonchalant about it for sure. And that actually brings us to the end of our second act, which I want to point out once again ends at the 14:37 mark, right, meaning that this episode is almost like perfectly evenly divided.
The old Tad Winslow, when he takes off his eye patch, has a tan line for where the eye patch is on.
Like he never takes it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. We open up our third act, not with an episode of The Simpsons, but with a narrator talking about it never ends. It's the opening, like the cleaning of a house. It never ends.
Dun, 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 dun.
With Gabriella Defarge as Gabriella St. Farge. Dun. Allegra Hamilton as Sister Bernadette and Roxy Monoxide. And as Dr. Tad Winslow, and you actually see like they'd been showing all the pencil drawings of the face. You actually see the pencil get like erased, and then they redraw.
It's the old Tad Winslow. Yeah.
But Lisa's like watching on the couch with the rest of the family, and she's like, "I just don't know if I'll be able to accept Mo as Dr. Tad Winslow."
Well, I'm going to keep watching as long as they have tiny, shocking story twist and endless pillow talk.
And it seems like Marge is going to get her wish because we immediately cut back and Mo is, in fact, having pillow talk with a beautiful woman who turns out to be a 5,000-year-old mummy that Winslow himself brought back to life.
I thought he called her Cleo, so that would be Cleopatra.
Cleopatra. So while she wants Dr. Tad Winslow to join her in a city-burning rampage, Winslow seems a little bit hesitant about the move.
He's like, it's against hospital regulations.
And he also points out, he's like, besides, that Clyde dancer is just waiting for me to make a mistake. And we cut to a guy who's watching them from the window outside.
I want the Simpsons writers to write a whole episode of a soap opera and then actually have the cast act it out.
It never ends. I would be down for that. I'm surprised to get that in a spin-off episode in the future. Yeah.
No, I'm talking like live action. Like I want the actual same actors to do the script, and then like how much publicity would that gain them? Like Conan did it, and it was freaking hilarious. We did the episode in Mexico. I want something like that with the Simpsons writers.
Totally fair. Fair. So we actually cut back to Mo's bar, which now Mo is, off doing his own thing. But we open the bar to Mo's, and for the first time in the history of Mo's Tavern, there are women in there. And even the barflies are like, "Hey, there's women in our bar."
Well, before that, when they're walking in, Lenny and Carl are having a conversation, and Carl asks Lenny, "So how are things working out between you and that girl next door?"
Oh, yeah. It's over. She got a window shade, which is actually a very Mo thing to say. I would think.
But that you don't want to tell people how Lenny lives. Okay, come on now.
Yeah, don't tell me how I live. Yeah, don't show people how I live. But yeah, then you cut in. The barflies are upset because Mo is, there's women in their bar. Essentially, is the line.
Open Mo.
They can't even get a beer poured. Homer is told to pour it himself, which he at first he's like, this isn't so hard. Mo always makes it sound harder than it is, but then he immediately breaks the tab and just starts spraying himself in the face with beer, which at first seems like a bad thing, but apparently Homer is able to drink at the same rate at which a broken tab would spray.
You never see him breathe or swallow, but
it's just a constant flow. It's like donuts on steroids from that Treehouse of Horror episode. We actually see Mo taking the time to rehearse lines, and he has Homer reading opposite of him.
I didn't bring you back to life so that you can make a fool of me at the club.
And Homer's just reading from the script. You don't love me.
He's doing you don't love me.
The only thing you love is your ear, nose, and throat pavilion.
I've dedicated my life to diseases of the head holes, but the one hole I've never been able to fix is the one in my soul.
And Homer snaps out of doing his girly voice and is like, wow, that was amazing, Mo. I'm actually a little turned on.
Yeah, I got a gift. As a child, I was bitten by the actin bug. Then it burrowed under my skin and laid eggs in my heart. Now those eggs are hatching, and the feeling is indescribable.
Homer's like, I know what you mean. Our dog had that. But just then, a delivery boy appears at the door, and he has an envelope marked Top Secret Storylines, which Mo is like, yeah, I'll sign for that.
Seems like a good idea.
Mo's reading ahead, and he realizes that his character is in fact scheduled to die in a skydiving accident. And Mo is upset. He's like, if they're going to stomp on my dream, if they're going to stomp on my dreams, the least I can do is go out in a blaze of sour grapes.
Okay, let's do it.
The script says here we see Dr. Winslow and Contessa, played by someone who appears to be Titania's cousin from the earlier Duff competition, and they're relaxing in a hot tub. Carolyn Omine points out on the commentary here that they're like, good God, there's so much cleavage on that woman. Like her nipples should be appearing at this point, which is it's true. They are bubbling up in that hot tub for sure.
Enough said.
Contessa's suggesting that Dr. Winslow and her go skydiving, but suddenly we hear it's a doorbell, but we literally just hear Homer saying "ding dong."
Oh, the door. I'll go get it.
And we see Homer come in dressed as an angel, and he says, "Dr. Winslow."
Who are you?
I'm an angel from the future. And we cut to the control room, and they're just like, what is happening? Should we cut him off?
What's freaking soap opera records live? I want to know that. Like, they're on air. It's live. Who does that?
They decide not to cut him off because they want to see what's going to happen. I guess, until it gets ride that wave while you can. But Mo's like, and what do you have to tell us, oh angel of the future?
You're going to die in a skydiving accident.
How tragic. Tell me more.
Homer's literally reading the book on camera.
He's got the top secret script. Yeah, he's reading it. Yeah.
Gabriella's baby shower will be invaded by terrorists with sexy results.
Ooh, that's unexpected. What else?
Well, Sister Bernadette will leave the convent and start a softball team with sexy results.
It turns out that most of the plot lines on it never end with sexy results.
Isn't that how soap operas are, though?
That's pretty much how it always goes. Bart is asking back home at the Simpsons house, why is Dad on TV? And Marge is like, who cares? He's dishing out the dirt. But as we cut to her notebook, Marge has just literally written sexy results.
And only then do we find out that Professor Galloway's half-sister is plotting to take over International Perfume and Wine.
And that's when in the control room, they're like, finally, like, cut him off. He just gave away a year's worth of storyline. And then they come out and confront Homer and Mo. What the hell are you two doing?
Sticking it to you for killing off my character.
You idiot. Dr. Winslow is only going to die in a dream.
What?
And the producer holds up the script and it's like, it's a pink page. Pink pages always mean a dream.
I thought dreams is on Goldenrod.
No, Goldenrod is for coma fantasies.
I see. So, what time tomorrow?
But it does not seem like there is going to be a tomorrow for Mo because they pretty much have him escorted off the property, we'll say, by security. I will point out real quick that this whole Goldenrod pink thing is actually an inside joke for the Simpsons writers themselves, because when the Simpsons write their scripts and when they use rewrites, they actually color code the pages. So basically, like the first rewrite might be blue, the second rewrite might be orange, third might be yellow, etc., and so on. And the joke there is if they get to Goldenrod, it means that script has gone through a lot of work.
Well, I think that it's interesting here that when they have security escorting the two out, this is where Mo has his goldenrod or lightning rod moment here where he gets a little too cocky. And Mo's had his fun in the sun and the spotlight, but this is where he literally shakes security off. He's like, get off me. With a mug like this, I can get on any soap in Springfield.
But as he walks out the door, he literally slams it behind him.
It's a set door. It's not like an actual door.
And that is what causes the big problem, is because that set was actually just a wall. It wasn't very well supported. So when he slammed the door, the whole thing tipped over. And lo and behold, it lands directly on Mo's face. And only Mo's face, by the way. Like the rest of his body's fine. He's laying on his back. And there's a set wall on his face. And I love as Mo's like screaming out, like, my face. My doctor said I'm not supposed to put any weight on it.
And wouldn't you know it, Miles? How does his face look after it hits him like that?
Somehow, just miraculously, it comes out exactly like it was before. Before
you get to the final scene, I want to read the note that I wrote down.
Sure.
The last note I have: laugh out loud. Conveniently smacks his face back to normal. That's what I wrote before this last scene.
And let's just point out too on that there's literally one paragraph's worth of script left. Like not even like a third of a page tops, if that. This is very much the Simpsons reset, and they just dropped a wall on Moe's face, put it back to normal, and we're like, whatever. Next thing we see, they're sitting at Moe's tavern, and Homer's like, "Sorry about your face, Moe."
Nah, it's just as well. The handsome face was nice, but it was too much maintenance. I had to wash it, rub it with Neat's Void oil. You did me a favor, Homer. And to think I was about to sell the bar to Hooters.
Yeah, you. Doe! Homer realizes mid-sentence that he's like, I could have had a Hooters? Doe!
And Homer didn't do anything wrong, honestly. Like he said, you did me a favor, Homer. Homer didn't do anything.
Yeah, he was just being a good friend to Moe throughout most of the episode and just helping him out. I think it was more so that he just likes doing illegal shit than he was being a good friend. But hey, teach their own. Well,
I guess that wraps it up. There's just one thing I don't get, though. When my face was crushed, why'd it go back to my old face? I mean, shouldn't it have turned into some kind of third face that was different? Don't make no...
Dun, 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 dun.
So then after the other note I wrote, I put... laugh out loud again at Moe's last line.
Yeah, that's that second meta joke, much like Carl looking in and saying, that's why I don't talk much. We get a Moe directly referencing how little sense any of this makes, but getting cut off mid-sentence. We get the normal closing credits, except for at the end of the credits, we get Duffman one more time saying, oh, yeah. And that brings us to the end of our episode, Pymoelian. Richie, is there anything else that you or that book of yours want to say before we call it a day?
I said at the top, I really enjoyed this episode. I don't really like the Moe episodes more so or less that often. There's good ones. Again, as always, it's Simpsons, so it's entertaining, but I really enjoyed this one, and not because of the cleavage, but I know I said at the top that I would explain why. I've noticed on rewatching The Simpsons that I always enjoy the episodes where the main character of the episode gets what they want. Like when Homer gets his dream job, so to speak. And it's because I feel good for them. Like you feel good when they're getting to live out their dreams and getting all these things that they want and they're not in their normal zone. But I always feel so bad when they get that slap in the face or literally smash of the face at the end of the episode and they lose all that stuff. But it's usually because of hubris, which Moe had at the end of this episode. So like it was well-deserved. It has to have that reset. But there's something where I like seeing the Simpsons characters get the things that they actually want out of life. And I think it's just fun to watch like what happens in this unknown reality as it goes on and they're getting to live out the life that they wanted. And I just think there's something to it.
Yeah, I agree with you on most of those points. It's cool to see it's almost like a fantasy for an episode of like someone having their dream fulfilled. It's usually Homer. Yeah, we see how this happened to, but getting Moe is very cool. I really felt like I got a lot from even though there wasn't necessarily a ton of stuff from the commentary when they talked about this episode. I guess maybe it's because they gave a lot of focus to the writer of the script. I felt like I got more insight than I normally do a lot of times. And especially when it came to like them describing how they have to be so brutal to Moe to make him a sympathetic character. I thought that was really interesting. And as I watched the episode back, it's like, yeah, okay, wow, yeah. They probably wouldn't be this just awfully mean to most characters, but because it's Moe and you kind of seen him, I mean, this is the guy that like pulls shotguns on people at random and, he's a despicable guy often. So to make him sympathetic is really, really fun.
It's a good job by the writers. Indeed. You forget all that evil stuff he does in every other episode.
But yeah, that I think will do it for this week's Best Darn Diddly review show. It is unclear to me, as I cannot see the future like Simpsons can, if we're going to be doing a Best Darn Everything or a Best Darn Diddly. At this point, I might be doing everything I can to avoid ever talking about Donald Trump. So we might just change this to a non-Simpsons podcast moving forward. I don't know. While we think about it in the meantime, make sure you follow Richie the Whiz Kid at @thewiz_kid23.
You can follow Miles at Mr. Most Days Off. Check out his stand-up. He's starting to blow up a little bit, so, jump in while the
That's not true at all, but that's sweet.
start to jump in while the going's good. That way you can say you were there from the beginning. But most importantly, follow at Best Darn Diddly. That's our show's Twitter. That's DIDDLY.
And Richie and I will be back again in the future. The next Simpsons episode we'll be covering is Bart to the Future.
But between now and then, we're going to go find that lotto guy and get revenge for him never picking our numbers.
And until next time, be cromulent to each other.